And my brother, Claude, that I mentioned before, they captured a bunch of German POWs. In fact, they saved his life, one of them, because his guard went to sleep. And a lot of these guys could speak English. And what you do, you always get a guy that can speak English come with me. And use him as an interpreter. And these guys stated that they had been in Stalingrad. You know what Stalingrad is? The world's bloodiest battle between the Russians and the Germans. How many million people get killed there? And these black soldiers said to her, "Man, none of you guys got out of Stalingrad. What are you talking about?" And well, they had a nice conversation. They would get the French wine and split it up and all that kind of stuff. And Jefferson said that his people sent him a care package. See, when they capture these guys, they have to report to the Red Cross. The Germans report that they captured the Americans. Americans report to the Germans. The Red Cross, by treaty, was the intermediary. So they sent a care package, cakes and food and stuff, and they delivered it to him intact. He said they didn't take anything out of it. They delivered it to him in a POW camp. He said there were 5,000 Americans in the POW camp that the Germans had captured. And there, the Germans, they were pretty sarcastic, said, "We don't have any segregated facilities for you guys. We're sorry about that." And they said, "We will let you 3 men to a room." And said you can choose your own mates. And he said one guy from Missouri, one from Alabama chose him. But there weren't too many blacks in there. There was a handful of them. Most of them were white, Canadians or something like that sort. Well, we were attacked. We attacked at Pearl Harbor, Japanese, and they sunk out virtually sunk out a fleet there. It just so happened the aircraft carriers were out. They didn't get them. And 3 days later, the Germans declared war on us. Well, the Germans had been kind of second our ships anyway. Hitler declared war 3 days after Pearl Harbor, a few days after Pearl Harbor. So we had no choice but to defend ourselves. I was a supply officer. That was pretty routine. I did OD, officer day work, officer day every month or so. There I encountered a confrontation with a sheriff in Alabama. You know what an OD is? Officer of the day. The Army is rigidly structured. You got a guardhouse there. You got a bunch of MPs who are the military police. They're charged with the security of this base and also with the law and order on the base. And they have the authority not only to work on the base, but they can go outside of the base. If the soldier, for example, is out of uniform, they can pick you up because it's a violation of Army regulations. If you don't have your tie in, or sometimes they do something worse. But in my particular case, they had the situation around Tuskegee was very tense as far as races were concerned. I was on OD that night, and my MPs, which they patrol miles around out in the city, and they're in jeeps. They got guns and everything. And somehow the sheriff and some deputies had disarmed them in Tuskegee. And I got a call. When you're on OD, you can't undress. You have to, you know what sleep ready roll means? Well, you don't pull off any of your clothes. So you have to sleep ready roll. they called me from the guardhouse and I said, send a Jeep up. So they sent a Jeep up. So I got to the guardhouse. I said, I need some backup. First thing you think about it, military's back. So I got 2 or 3 Jeeps of soldiers with the machine guns and pistols and all that kind of stuff. So they were authorized to carry. So we went up to Chesapeake about 10 or 12 miles. And there was a sheriff and his deputies holding our men. So I got out of the Jeep. And I said, I told those guys, you guys back me up if this thing gets hot. That's the military word. When you call on people to support you if you get in a hot place, they're supposed to back you up. I said, I'm Lieutenant McCormick. I'm a little bit bold. And I'm an officer today, and I came to pick up some men. And the sheriff, he took him back a little bit. Well, he said, Colonel Hazard from the base told us to pick up these boys if they get over here. I said, I'll take them back, and I had to make a report anyway, and I reported to the commander. When you get off OD, you have to file a report anyway, which you did. So I finally rescued these guys. I didn't say anything to them, but those enlisted men that I brought with, they cursed about, man, what the hell you mean? How did these men drop you? You got these damn guns on you and all that. So that was closest I've come to a big shootout in Tuskegee. They shipped the liquor in there on a freight car, and they backed a GI truck up there and loaded the liquor on. And the sheriff claimed that for about 2 or 3 feet, it was on Alabama territory. See, if it was on the railroad or on the GI truck, they didn't have any jurisdiction. So I was there for about 2 years, and finally was discharged after the end of the war. Matter of fact, I stayed on 2 or 3 months because I didn't have anything else to do. I had been admitted to Marquette, but I think the semester started until February, and I decided to stay on so I'll stay on the payroll until that time. Well, I was in my early 20s, and the agent, of course, Nita says, you're picking on these old people. I said, these old guys can't fight in the Army. Grandmas and grandpas running around. They had a football player in Kansas City 2 or 3 years ago. He was running around with football. His father was in Iraq. This doesn't make any sense at all. But most of these guys were young and unmarried, unattached in World War II. So they were looking for orphans, somebody. Didn't have any people at all because they knew that a lot of them weren't coming back. Well, as far as choosing a profession is concerned, I was brought up in Tyler, Texas, and they had a lot of oil lawsuits down there. And I used to sit around the courtroom. We didn't have anything else to do. And I would protect a section of reserved for blacks and watch these lawyers go after each other. And on that basis, I decided that maybe I want to become a lawyer. When I was in the Air Force, I ordered a lot of law books that I studied when I was there. Then when I knew I was going to get out, I applied to several law schools, including Hastings, California. They admitted me, and also Marquette. And I had been to Madison, Wisconsin before. I had never been to Milwaukee, but I was somewhat familiar with the situation in Wisconsin when I was stationed here for a while. Then of course, as soon as I got out, I left Texas and came to Milwaukee to high school. I have been asked why I didn't go to the University of Texas. And of course, I might have told you this before. About 20-some years ago, I was traveling from Kansas City to Los Angeles. The plane was out of New York, LaGuardia, I believe it was, and it sat down in Kansas City for a while and then headed for Los Angeles. And sitting next to me was a dignified lady. And I could tell she was very highly educated when she was talking. She struck up a conversation with me, and she told me that she graduated from Vassar, which is a highfalutin school out east, Harvard, and the Sorbonne in Paris or someplace now. She had taught both in Europe and in the United States. Then she turned to me and said, "What about you?" I said, "Really not that much to say." And I explained to her that I was born in Texas, spent 4 years in World War II, and got out and went to Marquette University Law School. And she asked me, why didn't you go to the University of Texas? Now, I didn't want to insult the lady. I said to myself, you told me you got out of Harvard and didn't know that the University of Texas ran a general law school. Then I decided to explain to her, which she gave her the information which she did not get at Harvard, all the way from Kansas City to Los Angeles. So I very, very much surprised. Years ago, I was at a reunion of sort at Marquette. I know the people have been drinking quite a bit, and one of them asked me why did I go to the University of Texas. This guy had been drinking the most. So the woman asked me the question, this man, Bessie, whatever her name was, you know damn well Harvey couldn't go to the University of Texas back at the time. So that's the end of that story. Well, they had a band. What do you think? Thurgood Marshall was running around down with his head like a chicken with his head cut off. They had most states they had rigid laws against blacks entering the law into school. Matter of fact, the University of Missouri had a constitution right in the Constitution that they couldn't enter the school. Well, they were the first one that admitted me. The other one was Hastings, California. I was a little bit farther, about twice as far away from home. And I should add, when I was in Austin Kennedy School in Florida, they had a course in military law. And it was taught by a guy who said he graduated from Marquette. He was very sharp, he was. He didn't seem to have any hang-ups at all as he taught us. Only about 3 or 4 blacks in the class, the rest were white. And so that influenced me to some extent. But the main thing is they're the one that admitted me. They didn't even have any problem when I got here. They asked me to take a course. And in fact, they gave me credit for my graduation from OCS, Austin Kennedy School. These military schools put it rough. Not only mentally, but physically, you have to be very alert what you're doing. Actually, some of the African-American boys complained of it, but I honestly can't say that I experienced any as far as I was concerned. Some of them might have. Some of the Jewish boys complained that they were knocking on them. But the guy that they were beating on, I made good grades on him, so he noticed me kicking the bucket or anything. So I due to the fact that I had been through this Austin Kennedy School, which requires rigid discipline, that helped me quite a bit. In addition to that, I was sitting next to an African-American guy from Memphis, Tennessee. He came up here because he couldn't get in the University of Tennessee Law School. And Jim Estes was his name. He was a meticulous note keeper. He had a notebook for every class. And he had an index, everything. He was very, very systematic, he was. And we studied together. And that helped me out quite a bit. You don't take the bar in Wisconsin. If you graduate from either Marquette or University of Wisconsin, this is a diploma-privileged state. They're one of the few. It used to be a lot of diploma-privileged states. That is to say, if you graduate from a law school in the state. But due to the civil rights movement, when African-American lawyers started to come on the scene, they put in the bars. Wisconsin's been very stubborn. They refuse to do it. So what you do, the faculty has to vote on you, and they vote. If they vote on you, they give the dean the authority to go to the Supreme Court and recommend you. So some of the people didn't recommend. I give Dean Sweetley credit. He was a big guy, big Polish guy. And I liked him quite a bit. Of course, those other white boys seemed like, I thought he was a good teacher myself. and just when at the end of the law school, everybody was up in arms as to whether he's going to recommend it to not. And he walked by me and said, "Mac, you made it." I said, "Thank you, Dean." So you had to drive over to Madison, you had to take the oath and sign the book over there. And that put you in. Well, not as a transfer. I've been a lawyer a long time, and I tried to become an administrative law judge. You know what administrative law judges? Well, they are judges that are appointed by, not by the president, by the executive part of the government. The regular federal judges are what they call Article III judges. They are appointed by the president, and the Senate has to confirm them. So they have many hundreds, maybe 2,000 administrative law judges. But when I was applying, you had to take a rigid test. It took about a year to do it. If you were working, you had to submit your briefs that you submitted in the court cases, and telling them. Give them the name of the judge that you tried the case before, the lawyer on the other side. What was the result? What was your strong argument? What are your strongest cases? And a bunch of other stuff. Then they send about a list of 20 people they want to write for a recommendation. Then you get on the register. When I got on the register, they weren't hiring African Americans at all. And that was in the early 1960s. I was concerned about it, so I had an office on Titonia Avenue here in Milwaukee. Excuse me, and the telephone rang one day, and they said they were from the Baltimore Sun in Baltimore, Maryland. I said to them, "What on earth are these people calling me for?" And they said, they explained to me, "Are you Harvey McCormick?" I said, "Yes, I am." They said that they had gone to the headquarters of Social Security and asked them why they didn't have any African-American judges. And Social Security told them they didn't have any qualified. They checked the register, which is in Washington, and they said, we're not certain whether you're white or black. And we don't mean to be offensive or anything. It's important to the story. I said, okay, I know that much. I may not know anything else, but I'm certain about that. So I asked them to send me any press releases that they had, and those they did. They went back to Social Security and said, "We checked this man, Harvey McCormick in Milwaukee. He's on the register. He's black." And they went out and hired 4 black guys and didn't hire me. They weren't even on the register. Yeah. So that's how, eventually I took the test. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I was attending the Bar Association, the National Bar Association in Miami, someplace. And Social Security had a booth. They had a black guy at the booth there. His name was Roland, I think it was. And they were trying to recruit judges. And I said, "I think you should hear my story." I said, "After you get off from work here, we'll have a beer together." He said, "Oh, good. It sounds good." So after he closed the booth down, we went down there and had a beer together. I just told him what the situation was. And normally these people just forget about you. But Roland didn't. You know, he put a spy in. He was pretty high ranking. He put another black guy in as a spy to watch these grades. And I would get calls in the night like the CIA. And finally, one night, About 12 o'clock at night, I got a call from Ike. I said, "What's up, Ike?" He said, "Look here, we're having trouble with your bar. We member of the bar." At that time, I was a member of the Missouri bar and the Wisconsin bar. I'm still a member of both. But Missouri had a situation where when you pay your dues, you pay it to the clerk of the circuit court in the county where you live, which I did. But this guy had not sent the money in to Jefferson City. And when they called, these idiots didn't have any better sense. At least they should have got on the telephone and called me. If they're doing a background check on you and for a government job, you just don't tell them he's not in good standing without calling the guy. And I said, "You remember any other bar?" I said, "I remember the Wisconsin bar." So they called the Wisconsin bar and said, "Yes, he's in good standing." And that was that's the only thing that saved me in this situation. Well, eventually they appointed me once I got through that. When they called Wisconsin, that was the last hurdle. They have to do an FBI check on you. FBI has to check you. The FBI checks you for being, as far as our commissioned officers concerned, they have to run a background check on you. They did it then, and when you appointed to this position, they have to do a background check on you, which they did. Then they put you on the register, and then they tried to play with it a little bit. They said, "We're going to send you to West Virginia to do black lung." At that time, Social Security was having the black lung cases. So I went to West Virginia, stayed a year. And then they sent me back to Kansas City. I didn't move anything from Kansas City. Then, of course, one of the judges, the head judge in the Kansas City office, didn't want me back. And there was another guy in the central office by the name of Swain. He was a pretty good guy. He told me about it. He said, "I don't see any reason why I should go there." He said, "We'll send you there anyway." I said, "Okay, thank you." Well, you have a tremendous caseload, and they don't give you enough staff half the time. Sometimes they don't. In addition to that, they make you work out of a pool at times. In other words, you don't have everybody directly assigned to you. You need people who are very familiar. This is very technical work as a coordinator. And these workers that they have, they should be familiar with Social Security, which is quite complicated. It takes them several years to really master that stuff. But I kept up my production. I wasn't a top producer, but I produced more than the average decisions a month. Finished this thing by stating that I'd been an administrative law judge for 22 years with Social Security, and there I retired. But all along, I was allowed to write for the West Publishing Company and Medicare and Social Security. I'm still doing it now. It's a very tedious job. They don't pay much money, but kind of like that grandpa talked about, that man buying corn for $1 bushel and selling for $1 bushel. I'm not making any money, but I'm in a big business.